Hi, welcome to the Achieve Wellness Daily podcast. My name is Chloe Burge, and I am honored to be your guide, life coach, and internet friend today. Here, we're going to talk about getting unstuck, living our best life as our most authentic self, and using goals and creativity to live a fulfilling life with purpose. If you struggle with survival mode or burnout, if you're trying to figure out what your best and most authentic life looks like, or if you're trying to live with more purpose, you're not alone and you're in the right place. Welcome to Achieve Wellness Daily. If you're ready to get unstuck, let's go ahead and dive in. Today's episode is all about alchemizing heartbreak. We're going to start out with defining what alchemizing heartbreak means and what I mean when I say that. And then we're going to go through and just dive into what that can look like and also some concrete steps for how to do that. So we will start with going into some general things that you'll be doing or that you're going to want to do in order to alchemize your heartbreak. And then we will dive a little deeper into exactly what you can do to make those things happen. So this might not be just a one episode. It might be a two-parter. I'm not really sure yet. I am still developing how I create my podcasts. So right now it's been the process of taking notes and then just diving in and recording whenever I feel like the time is right. I'm not sure how ready I feel. I don't exactly have show notes, but I have notes to kind of keep myself grounded on this topic and that I've been thinking about for the last several weeks. It's been a month since I've recorded the last episode, and it's actually snowing here today, which is just crazy. So as I'm recording this anyway. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. Thank you so much for being here. Today we are talking about alchemizing heartbreak. So what does that mean? Okay, so we are going to take your heartbreak and we are going to turn it into something higher quality. That's what that means. Alchemizing is like alchemy, like you would traditionally think, taking a lower quality metal and turning it into gold, into a higher quality metal. That's exactly what we're going to do with your heartbreak. We are going to take this lower vibration that you are feeling and that you are stuck in, and we are going to literally transform it and synthesize it into a higher vibrational frequency of healing. So that's what alchemizing heartbreak means. If that's something that sounds helpful to you, you're definitely in the right spot. One thing that I will say, though, is that heartbreak can mean many different things. Heartbreak does not just have to mean a breakup. It also does not particularly have to be relationally. So heartbreak can come from going through a breakup, the loss of a relationship. It can come from going through loss, losing someone, whether they're choosing not to be in your life anymore or they're gone because they've died. It can be losing your community if you've moved. It can be losing your job. It can be losing your home, maybe through a storm or something. There's so many different types and level of heartbreak, but anything that is not going to go the way you thought, anything that has changed the trajectory of your life in a way that you didn't have control over, or maybe you did, but particularly if you don't have control over it, those kinds of things, that's going to be heartbreak. And really, maybe a better word is grief. Maybe this is alchemizing grief is really what it is. I don't know. But alchemizing heartbreak is the idea. And a lot of this information is going to come from the perspective of a breakup. I started this particular idea in 2023 when I went through my last actual breakup with somebody that I actually dated. Who was my boyfriend. I've seen a couple of people since then, had a couple of experiences, but haven't really had anyone who's actually committed. And then, it didn't work out. So anyway, I'm going to start with sharing with you a note off of my phone that was actually from that time in that 2023 era. And I think that this is a really helpful note because it sort of outlines what we're doing in this self-healing journey. I made a note that it was great for people going through breakups and people ready to forge ahead, those who need to grow their self-love, esteem, confidence, and their courage. So it's using the 6 steps to get unstuck And if you need a review on that, go back to the last episode. It's like the opening episode. It goes over all 6 steps. We are going to take those 6 steps and apply them directly to like heartbreak, but we're not going to start there. That's kind of where we're going to end the episode a little bit. So we're going to start with kind of an overview. Like, this is what you're doing in this process. This is your hope for the process. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this to you. It's the 6 steps to getting unstuck, but also with very heavy clarity work and rewriting your story. And it's often a time where you're going to need heavy support. So here's the next blurb. Learning how to like and then love being by yourself. Defining what being enough is to you, and then realizing that you are already enough as you are. Distinguishing between being enough as you are now, just because you are you, and having a threshold of improvement that you would like to cross. Then you start actively working to become that. That threshold of improvement that you are seeking is your current idea of your best self. That idea grows, changes, and evolves as we do. You reach the level of improvement you seek, usually in very different ways than you expected. So true, past Chloe. And then you have a new threshold of improvement you'd like to cross. You learn to celebrate who you are, who you're becoming, who you've been, and who you have grown into all at the same time. We honor each dimension of ourselves in order to heal ourselves. I'm going to read that again. We honor each dimension of ourselves to heal ourselves. We acknowledge and celebrate each victory along the way. We listen to and strive to be our highest self, our best self. You learn to appreciate each version of you who did their very best at the time because they didn't know better. Learn to appreciate that version of you that didn't know better, that did their best. Who did their best, but they didn't have the information you have now to do better. That was just a little aside. You learn to appreciate each version of you who did their very best at the time because they didn't know better. Then you learn to do better, and you applied it until it became a habit. You are such a beautiful creature. Be grateful for the person you are. There's so much in this that I love so much. I must have been having such a beautiful, intuitive moment. If I remember correctly, I was outside on my back porch, looking at all the trees when I typed this up. And it was a long time ago, and it's so true. It's like, accept where you are, love yourself. You have to figure out how to like yourself and then love yourself, and love being by yourself, being in your own company. And then you accept yourself as you are, accept that you are enough, and then also accept that you want more. And I love that threshold of improvement. I don't know where I came up with that term, but it's like always been one of my favorites since I came up with it that day, because it's I just think it's the perfect description. You're trying to reach this threshold of improvement that you keep striving for, and that threshold changes. You meet it and it changes. Sometimes it changes before you meet it, and then you change direction. But it's really important, and this is the work that you're doing. So if anything in there really touched your heart, I'm going to say that this is probably going to be helpful information for you. But the big things are liking and loving who you are and being by yourself, knowing that you're enough, and then striving to do more. And striving to be your best self and your highest self. And you do that by learning to appreciate each version of you who did their best at the time with the information that they had. Then you take what you've learned, you apply it, and you do better. So that's really what this journey is. There was another sentence that I really wanted to repeat. We honor each dimension of ourselves to heal ourselves. That's huge. If you want to know how to heal yourself, you've got to honor yourself and every version of you and what you've been through. And people don't want to do that. You talk to people and they legitimately hate the past versions of themselves. And every time they say that and reiterate that and make that true, that version of you is alive inside of you and it's hurting. And you are being mean to them. You are bullying yourself when you do that. So I know that can be hard. That can be a big pill to swallow. But there's lots of hope. there's so much you can do. As somebody who has had really horribly negative self-talk in the past and still struggles with it currently at times, I know that it can be really difficult to love those past versions of yourself. But the biggest mindset shift that really helped me was understanding that that version of me did the best that they could at the time. And there's nothing different that they could have done with the knowledge that they had, because they didn't have the knowledge that I have now. So it's not helpful for me to look back and say, oh, if only I had done that differently 10 years ago, because in the last 10 years, I've gained the experience to know how to do that differently. That's not something I can go back and change. And me being mean to myself over it is not going to help me. The best I can do is take that information that I've gained in the last 10 years and apply it to the future so that this doesn't happen again. And I personally, for me, this is a bit of an aside, but for Alchemizing Heartbreak, for this self-healing journey that we're talking about, like, a huge part of it for me, I just completely lost my train of thought 110%. So, that'll either come back or not. I apologize. Anyway, moving forward, this healing journey is so important, and it can be really difficult, and it requires so much mindset work and mindset shifting, and that can be the hardest part, but it's also can be the most rewarding part. So, I hope that was helpful. I think that's a really good overview of, like, what the self-healing journey ideally will look like. And I think that one of the last things I want to talk about before we move on to the next set of information is that as you learn to appreciate each version of who you are. Oh, that was it. That was the most helpful part for me, was, like, learning that they didn't know better at the time. No, we did talk about that. I apologize. This is why I explained at the beginning that I don't actually have notes, and it will get better, so I promise. But this is where we're at right now. So the thing about this is that as you learn to do better and you apply what you learned so that you can do better, you are building that as a habit. And if you continue to do that, that will become your automatic response, and it will allow you to move forward much more quickly. The beautiful thing about this process as well is that the first time you go through it, it's so difficult and long. But, like, when you go through it again, it takes so much less time. And every time you go through this again, you notice that it takes less time and that you bounce back quicker. So, like, when I went through this breakup, when I was writing these things that I'm sharing with you first right now, that was in 2023. And, like, things have changed so much since then. This year, I have been going through a relational bump with, like, one of my closest friends, which is actually what inspired me to make this episode at this time. Because he has totally broken my heart on a couple of levels now, and I have my values and know what's important to me, and I know that this friendship is really important to me, even if it's not going to progress in the way that we thought it was going to. So right now, I'm trying to make aligned decisions so that I'm there for him, but I'm also there for me. And it's been really cool in a lot of ways, because, like, that breakup that I went through in 2023 took me so long to get over. And, like, I remember just being completely heartbroken about it from, like, June of 2023 until December. And in December, I reconnected with somebody from my past and thought that I was kind of ready. And I think I could have been ready, but he wasn't ready. And so then that ended up being a much deeper heartbreak, because I'd already been with that person. We'd already broken up before. We'd already made peace with that and become friends again. And that happened when we were really young. I waited 14 years for that reconnection with him. And he ended up asking me on a follow-up date, and it ended up going, like, really well. And then, like, the day before our follow-up date, he canceled on me, and he then proceeded not to answer my texts or calls anymore, and then he died a year later. So that one is hard to, like, kind of quantify, because the initial heartbreak that I went through with that rejection, within 5 to 6 months, I was starting to talk to someone new that I thought I might be able to like. That also didn't work out. But, like, now, like, then that person died at the end of 2024 in December. We're actually coming up on his death anniversary. It's almost been 1 year since he died. And, like, multiple times in my life, that was the person that I thought that I was going to marry, that I would be with forever. So my alchemizing heartbreak can look different, because there's kind of a lot of it going on at once. And that's been the hardest part about this one, is that I'm re-alchemizing this heartbreak from that person who died still, because I've spent the last year now completely accepting that that will absolutely never happen, because he's dead. And that's been both easier and harder to understand and accept in ways. The permanence of it makes it easier. The permanence of it makes it harder. So I was pretty expecting during that time to not catch feelings for anyone else. I was like, I'm probably going to take some time to heal from this, because my expectations have been all over the place and none of it's worked out. And, like, that was a really big one for me. That was like, I could have seen myself marrying him multiple times, and it just was no. And so as I moved forward through that and reconnected with some friends, because we had a different mutual friend that died 2 weeks before the man I loved did. So that was tough. And as I reconnected with this different person, I was not expecting to catch feelings for them, and I did. And I thought that that was cool in a way, because, like, I'm able to move on in different ways. And there are still ways that I'm alchemizing heartbreak, but there are other ways that I'm also, like, in different places with different heartbreaks and different types of griefs. So, I don't know. I hope that was helpful and insightful, but I think that this is cool, because using these techniques, I guess, I've been able to move on faster and get back to my regular life more quickly. And as a reminder, we kind of discussed this in the last episode, but I am also neurodivergent, particularly autistic, and so I also process and synthesize things differently than a lot of other people do. So I hope that that's helpful and insightful, and also a little bit about me. But we're going to go back to some of these materials that I've made, and then we're going to dive into the notebook. So, yeah. So I have this list that just says, like, what to do, and I'm totally going to share it with you now. This is a great, like, synthesized list of what to do. So, accept where you are. Take ownership of where you're at. Decide where you want to be and who you want to be. Decide why you want that. Attach emotion to it. Figure out your why. That is your compelling future and your why. So do those things. Accept where you are. Take ownership of it. Take responsibility. Decide who you want to be and where you want to be. Attach an emotion to it and figure out your why. That's your compelling future and your why. So the next thing you're going to do, look at what needs to be done first to make that happen. The first step. Set a goal, make a plan as well as you can, even if it's just to do that first step. And then start taking action and make it happen. Don't be afraid to set deadlines for your goals. The other thing that you're going to have to do during that period is get rid of what's no longer serving you to make room for the good. So that's kind of a helpful list of what to do. Again, kind of a good overview of, like, what you're going to be doing. So I'm going to tell you a few things that I did last time that also has, like, really sincerely helped me this time. It's made a huge difference in my progress and in my healing. So, the first thing that you do is, if you get, like, dumped or if somebody, changes their mind about you, or if this, has anything to do, relationally with other people, the first thing that I do is I just, immediately put down a really harsh boundary once that line has been crossed. You chose not to choose me. And that can feel like a really, I think the word is self-defecating or something. I hope that's correct. But that can feel really dark and a really dark thing to say. But that level of truth helped me. You chose not to choose me, and I'm not going to ask you to stay. And that really shocks people. If somebody's testing you and they test you with, I want to break up, say, okay, bye. Don't ask them to stay. They can come back to you, but if they have the audacity to come to you and tell you that it's over, or that they don't want you or whatever, believe them and let them go immediately. And that's going to be incredibly difficult, but it gets easier the more you have to do that. Put that boundary in and immediately place some space. Sometimes you need more space in other situations than others. The older I get, the more discernment I have on space. Sometimes I just need some space from them, take a little breaky poo. Sometimes I'm done. Okay? And I have only had 1 to 2 people in my life that I've just been completely done with after trying to date them and be with them that I've not been able to make friends with. Everyone else, I've either made friends with or made peace with. At the very least, we made peace and went our separate ways, amicably, I guess. So that's been really helpful for me. You chose not to choose me. Now I need some space because I'm not going to ask you to stay. And I'm not going to beg for this. I'm not going to beg for anything. I don't care how badly I want it. I have a very firm mindset now that I have grown through these experiences that I've shared with you, that has told me and proven to me without a shadow of a doubt that, if this isn't it, something better will come and replace it. And something better will keep coming until I find what's most aligned for me and what I believe is meant for me. Have there been times where I've been pretty sure that I've found that? Actually, yes. There has. They tell you that when you know, and I've known twice now. But in my defense, that one that I did know, he died. I think that reset, okay? I think that resets things. You know what you know, and, God tells you things, and then people make their decisions. Okay? So if somebody makes their choice, and that choice leads to a decision, respect that. Because it's going to save you in the future. If that person didn't want to be with you, them breaking up with you is a blessing in disguise, because you're not going to keep investing in that person and in that love without getting any return on it. And the more that you invest, the harder it's going to be for you to pull yourself out of that situation when it ends. So it's really important that once somebody has proven to you that it's no, that you respect their no and walk away, or respect their no and let them walk away. Whatever that looks like for you. And that can be really hard. But the other part of that I want to talk about is closure. You do not need closure from that person. And I'm if you know me personally, I'm sure you believe that that's absolutely rich coming from me, because I really like closure, and I thought for a really long time that closure had to come from another person. And it can be helpful in your healing to have that closure come from that person, but it's not always going to come from that person. I've had it 50-50. I've had times where we broke up and 8 months later we reconnected and made peace, but ultimately in the end we were not able to keep that connection as friends. It just didn't work for us. And I have other friends that I've had, I guess, we've sort of had cross boundaries, we'll say, romantic and platonic boundaries, that I took space from for a while, and now we're friends again, and it's not a problem. I don't think about it. It's not on my mind. I don't feel that way about them anymore. So time is going to be like your biggest go-to there, but also know that time is going to help you get closure, and that you can get your own closure. You can synthesize this relationship or this thing that happened to you and process it and get it out of you, and then start turning that energy that you've been giving to the thing into something else. You do not have to have closure from that person. It will make things easier most of the time, but not always. It probably also depends on the individual. So things that you can do other than that, I forced myself to reach out to my friends. It was really hard. I did not have a lot of friends at that time with this particular breakup, in 2023, that I felt like I could trust. Everyone that I talked to and told them that he broke up with me told me that he was a loser and that I deserved better, and then hung up the phone. And when somebody tells you that the person that you're in love with is a loser, that hurts. You're like, well, I still love them, so what does that make me? You know, and the same thing goes for cheating. Like, when somebody cheats on your friend, your first instinct is to be like, I freaking hate that person and I want them to pay, and they're such a trash human being. And your friend's like, hey, I'm still in love with that person. What does that make me? You know, like, because I still want that and want what we had before I found out they broke up with, or, you know, they cheated on me, or before they broke up with me, or whatever. And you're like, what does that make me? Well, it just makes you behind on your processing, okay? That's all it makes you. Don't let other people get you down. Try to talk to people you can trust about it, but if people are just gonna, you know, if they just give you the same thing, oh, they're a loser, let it go, they can't really help you. So you want people who can make you feel seen, and then also help you be like, now it's time to move forward. So it's kind of hard. But during that first initial part of the breakup, you're going to be doing a lot of processing. So, or any kind of heartbreak, any level of grief, you're going to be doing a lot of processing, and it's really easy to avoid that processing, and you do not want to do that. The sooner that you start your processing and facing the thing and going through it, the sooner you're going to get through it and be done with it. And it is something that you may have to revisit over time. Like, as I started falling for my friend now, what's just happened to me over the last couple of months, I've experienced a lot of triggers about Brady. Brady's the guy that died. I think it's okay to say his name. I mean, if you know me personally, you know I was in love with Brady. You know he's gone. So anyway, I think that I got triggered a lot about things that I'm still healing from, everything I went through with Brady, and everything I did not go through with Brady that I thought I would get to go through with Brady, in this, like, current moment. And so, like, I've been trying to enjoy this new experience, which has been really hard, because even though there have been nice things happening, I still have this programming in my mind that I'm still trying to heal. So it's hard. You go through different bouts of it, right? But when you go through a big major thing, a crisis, a traumatic experience, or a heartbreak, or you're grieving something that's causing you to grieve, some kind of loss, you're going to go through this big initial period where you're just going to want to get through it, you know? So that's kind of what we're talking about. So a few more highlights on what helped, and then we're going to dive into, like, some more concrete things for you guys, I guess. So, like, one thing I recommend is being mindful of your health. If you have a broken heart, be mindful of your health. Like, if you're supposed to start a new medication, if you can put that off for a little bit, do. If you can't, don't. But, like, when I was going through a breakup, I had to try out medication for women's health issues, and it was, like, 1,000,000 times harder on me. And I started exhibiting, like, all of the mental health side effects that were really, really negative, because I was already in such a bad place. So I know that's particularly going to be true with, like, hormonal medication, but, like, if you are about to start a treatment or a medication that's going to alter your body, like, at all, which any medication will, by the way, you might want to wait because you're getting used to a new normal, and that's going to be like two major new normals at the same time. So even if it's just like a month, if you can wait till you're not in that most initial phase of the breakup, that'd be great. I had to start taking medication 1 week after my breakup, and it completely wrecked me and ruined my mental health. It put me in a really bad place. So I don't recommend that. Be mindful of the normal you had before, the normal you're getting used to now, and then whatever new normal you're going to be taking on based on things you're going to take on in the future. And then find projects that you can enjoy and make yourself do, especially if it's something that you can really like get into. So, like being in a band has been really good for me right now, where it's a little bit slow, which is unfortunate because I do have kind of a broken heart again. But in the past, that's kept me incredibly busy. And in the future, it also will. Having a dog really helps me. Right now, I've gotten into a recent new hobby of flint knapping. I make arrowheads. It's a Native American art. It is literally making the arrowheads that they used to use to hunt with, but now we're just kind of keeping the craft alive. I'm not Native American. I live on a Native American reservation in Tahlequah, Oklahoma area for the Cherokee Nation. And I'm getting to learn how to make arrowheads from a Cherokee national treasure. And there are days where I go and all I want to do is cry and throw things. And instead I get to break rocks intentionally and make art out of them. And it's so good for me because it's so all-encompassing with my mind and my hands. So yeah, finding things that you can do, find projects that you can work on that really will like eat up your attention and take up your time that are very positive. So you don't want to like get sucked into video games and beat 4 video games in 2 days. Try to like do something real. I joined a community choir before. I joined a band. I doubled down on my personal development and like podcasts and reading books and stuff. And I'm in the process of restarting that now. I'm like going to start guitar lessons in January. Really focusing on Christmas right now. Got a few things going on. So, yeah, I hope that that's helpful. Really what it is, more than anything, is you're rewriting your story. You have to rewrite your story without whatever you just lost. And, ideally without anyone. Like, rewrite your story just as you, without anyone else in it. You are the main character. Figure out what you actually want from this life. Get real clarity, and then start taking aligned action a little bit every day to get to that place. And this is where the 6 steps to getting unstuck really does help. I mostly do it in order every time. You can skip around for what you need, but when you do it, this is the process that I've used that I can now take and like hand to other people and be like, this is helpful. So you're going to start with clarity and presence, focus on your habits after that, then reconnection, then create, then set goals and make a plan, then strive for excellence. So those are the 6 steps that you're going to be using. And they've really helped me. They've really changed my life, but particularly in this arena. So I'm just going to share a few more things, and then I'm going to take a pause and create episode number 3. And episode number 3 is going to dive into exactly how to use the unstuck formula to like alchemize heartbreak. And we're going to start with steps 1 through 3, and then later we'll cover steps 4 through 6. It's a lot, there's a lot of information, and I don't want to overload you and give you too much at once. And I feel like it's possible that I already have. So I'm just going to give you a little bit more. Give you some more like anecdotal, chill talking stuff, and then in the next episode we will really uncover, like, break down what to do, how to do it. So here are a few more thoughts that I have on getting yourself through this period. Intentionally have things that you're responsible for, whether it's a plant or a pet, or you're gonna bring something to a party or a gathering, or for a project or something. So like, for an example, if you get invited to a party, sign up to bring a specific item, then actually do it. Or like, if you don't have a party, look into a community gathering where you can contribute something, or find a donation drive and decide you're going to go find donations for it and then do it. So like, if you see a coat drive, actually go locate a coat, whether it's an old one you need to get rid of or a new one that you're buying specifically for the drive. But like, be responsible for something and then actually follow through. That's going to help you so much. If you can create situations where others depend on you, that will actually really help you keep going. Gardening is a great one. You know, your plants depend on you, but you have to have the strength to do that. I had to wait to reincorporate gardening because I was so sad and I have chronic issues and I was struggling energetically. But I had indoor plants and I had pets, and that was enough for me. And then I committed to community choir first semester, and the voice section depended on me. So it doesn't have to be really big things. They don't have to be like life or death of any kind. Literally community choir. And I had to say, my voice section depends on me. I need to get there this week. And it helped me get there. And then I actually did the things. And like, did I like actually make new friends in that group? No. I made one friend and she moved. And out of state, like, I completely lost track of her. I think I'm friends with her on Facebook, but I honestly forgot her name. That was in like 2023. I'm so sorry, friend. But yeah, so like, it's not really about like getting yourself out there, meeting new people, although it can be, but like, intentionally have things you're responsible for. That's the hook that brings me in. So when I joined the band, I was intentionally like responsible for knowing my part and being able to play and support the other members or take the lead when I need to take the melody. You know, get involved in a donation drive, get involved in an event and bring a dish. There's all kinds of interesting things that you can do. Check out your local library. The library always has cool stuff going on. Our library changes all the time, and I live in a small town that has limited resources. So, you should totally check out your library. Yeah, okay, so I have a couple other things that I want to share, but I do feel like this episode is getting a little bit long. So, overall, if this is the last time that I hear from you, there's like, that I hear from you. If this is the last time you listen in, these are the last things that I kind of want to throw at you. And we will go over these more in the next episode. So if it's not the last episode you're tuning into, go ahead and go on to the next one when it's ready, when it's available. So, Alchemizing Heartbreak. Keep your energy as high as you can and keep your momentum. You've already worked so hard to get this far, so try not to throw it away over an individual like situation. Remember the big picture. And again, that's going to be harder at the beginning and easier as you do the work and move forward. But the more you can do at the beginning, the more momentum you can keep, the more energy you can keep high, the better off you're going to be overall. And the more that you go through this system of actually like alchemizing the pain and turning it into like a life of excellence again, or at least turning it into healing, that's going to become easier for you. You're going to have habits created to keep your energy higher. So I want you to keep that in mind. If this all sounds really out of reach right now, like, you have to start somewhere. Start with what, like, if there's just one thing that you heard today that you're like, oh, that might help me, start there. Just start with that one thing. And then move on and see if it helps and see what needs to change. Because as you're starting this, it's going to be a lot harder than when you're more healed, you know, and when you've developed the groundwork. So, like I said, this is my this is my fourth time to go through a major heartbreak and trying to use my own process for getting through it. And it's going so much better right now. I'm still pretty plugged in, and I have a lot of stuff that I could be pretty damn sad about right now. So, anyway, next piece of advice: decenter or detach from the person or the event and focus more so on the outcome. So, I was listening to this awesome podcast. It's Sarah from the Hot High Priestess, excuse me. I think it's called The Priestess Perspective. I think that's what her podcast is called. But she did an awesome podcast with someone, I can't remember what the guest was, but it's like, he's either your husband or he's not. And I was like, what? So I listened to it and I was like, no, really though, this is so good. They talked about detaching from the person or individual and focusing on the outcome more. Because it's like, you want the man who wants to be your husband more so than the guy holding you back from that. yeah. Okay. That was a big one for me. Okay. I was like, I do not want to stay stuck on this man that does not want me, on this man that has not chosen me, on this man that does not want to be my husband. Because my outcome, the big picture is I want to be married to the love of my life. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Get out of the way. It has taken me so much time to come to that conclusion, and I can say that, and I have to tell myself that 15 times a day, because there's a part of me, my brain, that's like, this guy should be that person, and I want this guy to be that person, and this guy could become that person, and it's like, no, like, he either is that person and he's ready now while you are, or he's not ready and you need to take some space. So, we're still friends, we're still coming through it, but I'm taking some space. He has not chosen me in the way that I deserve, and he is taking up my time in a way that I do not deserve if he's not going to choose me in this particular way. He is taking up that space for the man that wants to be there. Okay? I hope that was helpful to someone. It changed my life, changed my perspective. That was like 6 days ago, and here I am recording my next podcast. Thank you, Sarah. You have helped me so much, by the way, girl. So much. Princess Treatment Academy was so good. I need to go through and redo that. I did Princess Treatment Academy last November, and it helped me alchemize through that guy so much, which was great because the next month Brady died, and I was not having it. I was not having a good time at all. Three people that were really important to me died that month, and it was really bad. So, yeah, not letting somebody take up the space of the person that you actually want there is super important and will help you let go. So, decenter that person, decenter the event. If it's not a person, you've got to remember what the outcome is. This happened, I lost my job, I can't get another job, I lost my home, I had to move, and I lost my community. But no, the outcome. What's the outcome? Well, I'm going to get a better place to live. I'm going to find a better home. I'm going to build a community here, or I can, community is going to be around me, so I'm going to have to figure that out. I'm going to have to find a new place, so finding a better home is the outcome. I'm going to find a better job than I had before, ultimately, even if it's not the next job I have, but ultimately this is going to lead me to a better job. That's going to lead me to a higher salary. That's going to lead me to a better lifestyle. Or maybe it's like, my outcome is that I want to have like financial freedom and time freedom, and so this loss of job is leading me into a totally different trajectory where I'm going to actually seek that for myself. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that you can focus on, but focus on the big picture, on that big picture outcome, and detach from the individual person or event that has happened that's standing right in front of you. The more that you can decenter them and the more that you can detach from them, the faster what you want is going to come in. That's just a general manifestation, law of detachment stuff. But it's really hard and it's really important to focus. And when you're alchemizing heartbreak, it's an excellent opportunity for you to figure out and focus on how to detach and decenter somebody or something. And one of the ways you can do that is refocus. Okay, so this is a big mindset shift, but you're going to want to refocus on you and your mission and why you're here and your desires. Okay, love yourself, consistently remind yourself of your worth. Love yourself too much to tolerate the bullshit that you do not want in your life. If this situation has brought you any level of anything that you don't want, take that information and learn from it and apply it. Do not take that in the future with you, okay? Do not take that bullshit that you've tolerated from this person forward, or you'll just relive it with the next person. So refocus on you, your mission, why you're here, your desires, and figure out what you're not going to tolerate anymore, and then stop tolerating it. Put the foot down. Period. Next, you make your choices. Try them on. See how they feel. And then you make a decision. Now, this idea came from an influencer. I don't remember who it was. I think it's the only video of theirs I saw. but and you might change your wording, but it's this idea that, you can try something out before you fully put on your absolute 100% set in stone decision. Okay. So you might use different wording, but for this intent and purposes, the decision is the final stage of making a choice, and the choice is like you trying it out. So make your choices, try it on, see how it feels. Allow yourself to get an idea of what that choice is going to feel like, and then make your decision. So don't rush the decision. Make as many choices as you need to before you decide, but understand the difference in intention between your choice and your decision. Okay? Your choice, your intention is to try it out. And your decision, your intention is like, this is the way it is going to be, period. Okay? So make as many choices as you want, but understand the differences in both intention and the consequences. The choices that you make can still have very real consequences, just as the decisions that you make can have very real consequences. So decisions change likely to have heavier consequences because they're more set in stone. Of course, everything can change, but in the process of making a decision, of making a change, we're going to say, for the context of this situation, of this conversation, we'll say that decision is quote unquote ideally set in stone, and that's going to have really big, deep, heavy consequences. And so whether that's good or bad, right? Consequences don't necessarily mean like something bad's going to happen as a result of this. It's just like, A happens, so B is going to happen next. A and B can be different things. Okay? So it's like, you've made your choices. The decision is most likely going to have more heavy consequences than the choices are. But your choices that you make along the way still can have very heavy consequences, very real repercussions. Okay? The guy chose to he chose to shut things down first. And he said, I've decided I don't like you. And I was like, oh, your decision's made. Fine. And then next thing I know, he's made this other choice. And in this choice, he's made this new choice that says, maybe we could be together someday. And I was like, wow. So that wasn't a set in stone decision. That was just a choice he's trying on. And he thinks it's a set in stone decision that he's made. But really he's processing things and making choices and trying them on and see how they feel. And then ultimately he flipped out a week later and was like, no, this is never going to happen. I don't like you. I'm not attracted to you at all. It's like, bruh. So he gave it to me as a decision again. And now I don't trust it. And I'm like, this could change too. He's still figuring it out. And that's not healthy or helpful for me. And at this point, I'm like, I don't want somebody who's going to be that wishy-washy about me on a personal level. Like, you either want me or you don't. And, he's not ready to want me, so he doesn't want me right now. And if he wants me later, he can fix that. But I have to move on. I have to accept the fact that he's made these choices that say, I'm unsure about you, I don't want you right now. Even though I want you, I'm not going to go out and be, confident about that. It's been very confusing and mixed signals, and he's got his own stuff going on, and I'm not trying to be mean. It's just, the reality of the situation is that, he framed his choices as decisions, and that made it really difficult for me to accept, especially as they continue to change. So, understand how other people don't understand this, first of all, and then you understand this over here and make it easier for yourself. So you make your choices, you try them on, you see how they feel, you understand that they're going to have consequences, good or bad, and then use that information and what you learn from those choices to make your decision and move forward. So right now, I've made my choices to try to see what happens with this guy, and now I've made my decision that I'm not doing that anymore. I am moving on. And if something changes on his end, he can come to me with it and I can see how I feel about it or whatever. But as of now, no. It's no. It's no for the time being. It's no for the moving forward. And in the past, I've been like, I don't go backwards. This is no forever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not doing that anymore either. That doesn't feel right with this guy. It's a lot. He's been going through, his best friend died a year ago. Earlier this year, he's gone through a really significant breakup. He was going to marry her. And then he's given me reasons to think that he's liked me over the last 6 months. And like real reasons. I've been talking about it with my therapist, making sure that I'm not misunderstanding, not making stuff up. I really, really have not been. I had some real concrete reasons to believe that this person liked me, but ultimately his decision is no. And so I have to respect that. And now my decision has become no, and I'm respecting that too. So, last bit, focus on balancing your inner masculine and your inner feminine energy and dynamics. You want to heal both and maintain both. So, I'm not going to go into that because that's just a whole other can of worms, but if you know what that means, do that, and if you don't, look into it. Your inner masculine, everyone has masculine and feminine energy within them. You can think of it like the yin-yang symbol, which I think is technically yin-yang, but, think of that symbol, like the white part is feminine energy, the black part is masculine energy. Inside of the feminine, there's a dot of masculine. Inside of the masculine, there's a dot of feminine. And they move forward continuously, swimming in a circle, like on Avatar with a fish. Just like that, okay? Avatar: The Last Airbender, end of season 1. Anyway, focus on balancing that inner masculine and inner feminine. You have both. Everyone has both. More than likely, you have one that you tend to act on more so than the other. I'm a female, and I am more in my feminine energy. Just because I'm female doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to lead with that. There are plenty of feminine masculines and masculine feminines, okay? Guys that are in their feminine energy, females who are in their masculine energy. And there's nothing, I'm not saying either way. I'm just saying that we both have both. We all have both. And you're going to want to balance yours. And yours is going to be out of balance based on what you've gone through with this heartbreak. So that's going to be a major area you want to focus on. Your inner masculine is going to help you with like your structure and your kind of like keeping your rules and having a set thing that you're going to do and like taking action. It's kind of associated with the sun. And your inner feminine is going to be like the moon, which is going to be like flowing and allowing yourself to be creative and allowing yourself to experience your emotions. And allowing yourself to flow. So those are the things that come off the top of my mind. Again, that's probably like a gross misrepresentation or like an underrepresentation, really. It's not a misrepresentation. It's just not very much information. So, but if you know what that means, focus on that. So those are kind of my last like big tips. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this helped. I didn't know that I was going to go on so much about my personal experiences in this episode. So I hope that was helpful. Please give me some feedback. Did you like this episode? Did you like the layout of it? Would you like for it to be more organized? Do you feel like you came out with anything concrete that you can work on? If so, I'd love to know what stood out to you. Let me know. If you're on YouTube, please go ahead and leave that in the comments here. And otherwise, reach out to me on Instagram at Achieve Wellness Daily. I'm also on YouTube at Achieve Wellness Daily, and go ahead and let me know what you think. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, please like it and like leave a comment and subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Every time that you do that, it helps the podcast get out to other people. So that's why I'm asking. I know it sounds pretty superficial, but if you found this helpful, even if you just give it a thumbs up, that's going to help other people see it too. So thank you again. On the next episode, we will continue Alchemizing Heartbreak, and we will specifically go over how to use the 6-step unstuck formula in relation to that. So thanks again for being here. Take excellent care of yourself. I'm sorry if your heart is hurting. Please keep going. Please remember to love yourself, and please consistently remind yourself that you are so worthy. You are so worthy of the life you want and of the love that you desire. And do not allow yourself to not desire these things just because they didn't work out this time. If anything, please take that away from this. I love you, and I'm sending you love and light. Take care.